I grew up non-denominational Christian. Like I've been in church virtually my whole childhood and really most of my adult life. So it's not really a lot that puts fear into me because I have just that strong faith in God and I'm more spiritual than I am religious now, but still I'm good. And that's why I can watch a lot of horror movies and they really just not affect me on a really strong spiritual level. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, after I saw the first Omen, I had to say a prayer. Amen.
God has great plans for you. This child is his way.
Yeah, so the first Omen may be one of the most disturbing horror films I've ever seen. It's not, I mean, there are jump scares, but they don't rely on trying to just make you jump out of your seat or anything like that. It's way more psychological, at least for me. Like the jump scares, I didn't mind. They really didn't. They really didn't do anything. I can't even recall one good one. But it's the psychology. There are things that appear on screen and you wonder, hey, did that really happen? Some of it you get definitive answers on, and some you really don't. And that plays into why it's so disturbing in a lot of ways. Uh, I said this in a previous review. I really focus on story when it comes to really anything, but especially horror. Like the actual story being told is where I find the fear more so than jump scares or really the lore, even though that plays a part in it. What story are you giving me on screen? And in that regard, the first Omen does give a creepy and disturbing story. The opening scene is a little bit nerve wracking, to be honest. It starts off a little bit slow, and there's just some dialogue between two priests, and something happens, especially if you've seen the original Omen movies, namely the first two. The way deaths play out, they quickly evoke that in the opening of the movie, and it's really unnerving. And it really bothered me. And once I calmed down and really just took in everything, um, and that's where kind of really my only critique of the movie comes into play. So the film does start off quite slow, almost to the point where it felt a little disjointed. Like they start you one place, then they take you for an extended amount of time to a different character who is the main character. And we just kind of follow her story, and not like some things are happening, but it's not a whole lot of stuff going on. And I think they took a little bit too slow an approach to build the first act. It does ramp up, and once we kind of get into the meat of the story, which comes quite some time later, it's pretty it's pretty breakneck uh creepiness, like back to back creepy shit starts to happen throughout the rest of the movie. But that was my really my only critique of the film is that it just kind of plods a little bit in the beginning. But again, once we really get started and we get into the meat of the story, this is not a spoiler review. This film makes me want to do a spoiler review. Now, this is a prequel to the original Omen trilogy from way back. I can't even think of the year right now. However, I've always understood that there's kind of this unwritten rule or unwritten conclusion that people have come to that The Exorcist, The Omen, and Rosemary's Baby all exist in the same universe. The makers of this film took that to heart and essentially made a way that it could be possible. And that is the most intriguing part of this. You're told something in the original Omen movie about essentially how Damien got here. Well, this movie shows you what you've been told, but they put a unique spin and flair to it, especially when you get to where the threat of Damien is coming from. It's something that I haven't seen before, something I haven't really even thought about before. And for them to put this on screen, it was pretty daring. Now, speaking of putting stuff on screen, there are some truly disturbing scenes. One of them takes place during a childbirth. Wow. Like the people the people in the theater I saw this in, we couldn't believe what we were seeing. Like there were audible gasps and cries of hell no when this scene came on. And then later on they get to what the big twist is, and we went hell no again. And you would think, knowing that this is a prequel and knowing ultimately where this series goes, that it's not a lot that could surprise us, but they managed to do it. This is the bloodiest, most disturbing Omen film of the series by far. Easily. Like, it's not even close. They took some daring steps to kind of progress this series as well as keep what ultimately makes the Omen series enjoyable in the first place. And I have to give kudos to the filmmakers on that. Like, I didn't know really what I was getting with this movie. I saw the trailer like one time and honestly, I forgot about it. But I didn't expect what I ultimately got. And for me, this might be the best installment of the series as a whole. And it does surpass that. I think it was 2006 version with Julia Stiles. It passes that, but to kind of draw on that shared universe concept with Rosemary's Baby to make this film or use this film using this film to take us where we haven't really been before, I think it was a stroke of genius. Now, I could be just projecting that because I'm such a big Rosemary's Baby fan. Maybe the director didn't even do that at all, but I'm going to give him the credit. Like, I think that was a great way to go to tell this story. So it gets me to my verdict. Um, it's not a perfect movie, but it's damn good. It's a damn good horror movie, especially if you are into like that spiritual and psychological horror. It does a really good job of leaning into that subgenre of horror, and I had a good time. I'm honestly looking forward to watching it again. But it has its issues. I'm really big on pacing, and I didn't care for the pace at all in the first part of this film. With that being said, for me, the First Omen is unapologetically legit. It's a 4 out of 5, and it's definitely worth checking out. So, the First Omen, have you seen it? If you have, let me know what you think in the comments. Continue to like, continue to share. My YouTubers out there, continue to subscribe, man. Like I said, you guys have been showing out. I appreciate the love. I truly do. Until next time, I'm Jarius, the Unapologetic Geek. Say your prayers, eat your vegetables. And I am